Yes, Corey Teague, 65 Prince Street, Paterson, New Jersey. Real quick, had the opportunity to talk to my uncle. My uncle is Alfred Sally Sr. If you don't know that name, you can look it up. He was a white-collar crimes detective for the city of New York. He is retired now. He was also a personal assistant to Mayor Ed Koch when he was the mayor then. You can look up his name. His name is Alfred Sally Sr. And he showed me a lot of the stuff that I've shown him and the information that I've given him about what's going on in this particular case. He said somebody should have been fired by now. Those officers should have been put out there by now, and this should have been handled a long time ago. There's also retired detectives from Paterson PD who reach out to me to tell me this is not right. So if you guys at 111 think that everybody's quiet, there is no blue wall anymore. Those retired detectives are reaching out to me, and they're telling me that this stuff is not right. And they're also telling me stuff that's going on at 111 Broadway that's been going on for decades, that goes way beyond this. How many homeless people, right? Because Felix wasn't homeless, but how many homeless people were brutalized and killed and thrown away or taken to the medical examiner's office and left there as a Jane Doe? How many people were probably brutalized and murdered by the police department, and then they wrote up in the report, this person died of a drug overdose, and labeled them as a Jane Doe or a John Doe and left them in the morgue? Can we do an investigation on how long this has taken place? Because there's no way, based on what happened with Felix, it tells me one of two things. One, that they're used to doing this to people, or two, that they feel like they can get away with it. And right now, it seems like both of those options are true, because nobody's being held accountable. Dr. King wrote a letter almost 60 years ago, and the gist of it was, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. He wrote that letter in the Birmingham jail after he participated in a demonstration, okay, against what was going on in Birmingham at the time. And he wrote that letter not to the public, he wrote that letter to the preachers, because the preachers were trying to criticize him for being at that rally and for standing up for justice. It was his fellow clergymen that gave him the hardest time and gave him the hardest way to go, because he wanted to stand up for justice. Speaking of letters, I'm sorry, that letter they just submitted, this letter has absolutely no merit. You guys left out the police brutality. You left out the fact that he complained that his arm and his hand felt that it was broken. You left out the fact that he was arrested by them, he was intoxicated, and the officer claimed that he told them to leave them down there by the river, leave them on Front Street. There's a lot of this. This is what you call a smoke screen. They want to shift everything on the Councilman Jackson. They want to shift everything to him, and they want to make this about him. He's not going to be the scapegoat for this city. This ain't got nothing to do with Mike Jackson. This has something to do with a corrupt police department, and the city better do something about it, or we're not going to have any more money as taxpayers, because this city's going to get sued up the ass. Trust me.